Welcome to the Send More Offers Real Estate Show with Brandon Barnes, showing you how to do wholesaling deals consistently without having to go on seller appointments. Learn the key tips and strategies that Brandon's students use to find deeply discounted properties that are pennies on the dollar, all while avoiding wear and tear on their vehicle, body, and freedom. Whether you're looking for your first deal or your next deal, it's time to send more offers with your host, Brandon Barnes.
Hey, so how's it going, David? So great to have you here, man.
Man, thanks for having me here, Brandon. It's an honor to be here.
Yes, for sure. No, it's absolutely an honor for myself. Of course, it's very rare that someone gets to say they have a published author that's absolutely crushing it in multiple facets of life and business on their podcast. So I'm super excited to talk to you. How is everything going with Profit First for real estate investors with the book and the everything?
If my calendar is any indication of that, I'm booked to speak, I think at least once or twice a week from now to the end of the year. So either virtually or in person, because I think this message is landing with a lot of people at this time and really wanting to get that information out there. So it's been going well, just getting this book, this knowledge, just helping people as much as possible. So yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure, but I love it. It's been great.
Yeah. It's amazing because, of course, Profit First was one of the first books recommended to me by one of our mutual friends, Tom Kroll, as far as kind of getting your financial house in order. Was getting your financials in order, was that a big thing for you when you were actively real estate investing, as a first priority?
Right? When it's so funny because when I first started investing, I was doing a couple deals here and there, and then I linked up with a company that was doing like 5 deals a month. And over the course of the 5 years I was there working, we ramped it up to about 25 or 30 deals a month.
Oof.
And that's where we had someone running the books and stuff, but it didn't seem like a priority. If we were in the red, or like hurting, it was just like do more deals, doing that type of stuff. So it's my mindset has definitely evolved over the years. And especially after reading Profit First, I just always think, what if I knew what I know now, I could have really, I think, made a huge difference back then, like when we were doing so many deals. And it's just like we were doing 25 deals a month, but like spending 26 deals a month. It was like just a crazy rat race of the deal to deal and doing so many, like 300 deals a year. But yeah, that was one big thing of just making sure that not only the real estate investing community knew how to manage it, but like that was helpful for me in the business of just managing finances from the business point of view as well too, and reaping the benefits of the business as a business owner wants to. So that was definitely a lot of that my thought process, my mindset, through the years, and now having that, if I would have had that back then, it would have been a totally different ball game.
Yeah, for sure. And look, a lot of people don't even realize that you were doing real estate investing deals. I even forgot. I think I remember that was part of your story and kind of how you kind of got into this. But what role did you play when you joined forces with that initial team, wholesaling and buying and flipping and fixing?
Yep. So we did like every exit strategy you could think of. And so I sat in my tenure there, like the marketing seat, sales, acquisitions, and project management, property management, transaction coordination, and the finance seat. Like if you could think of the seat, I probably sat in it, like the different ones for different types of companies too, because we held rentals as well and like lease option properties. So I ran property management for a while too. So I got to see the different facets of the different seats. I was kind of the utility man. Like, if we've got a problem, let's go in there, fix it, let's move on. So that's where I got a lot of real estate education, knowledge, and small business knowledge too, of what does it take for a team to run together? What does it take to, all the moving parts and pieces? I was on the leadership team of that company for a while as well too. So like, how do the leaders interact and how do they lead people? So it was definitely a great experience, but that's where I always tell people, if they're like first starting out getting investing, I would highly recommend looking for someone in the area that has a team or that's looking for a team, and try and learn from them and like see if you could help them for a few years, and help them build their company and help them, buy properties. You're going to gain a ton more experience than you trying to go back to learn it either in school or just, do those types of things. Like, can you do something like that or learn from someone like Brandon, someone who's been there, done it, and learn from them and, really gather what's important to the actual operation of the business to make money. So yeah, it was a great opportunity and got to sit in a lot of different seats during that time.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And look, I know that the listeners are going to want to hear, all about like the financials and, why it's important to have a CFO and
Yeah.
what, Simple CFO solutions can do for them. But before we go down that path, um, I just want to ask, and I'm sure there's going to be some folks that want to hear this, like, what was it about your experience with that company, that real estate investing companies, that separated them from, the folks that are doing a few deals, here and there? Why were they so wildly successful? If there's somebody listening that wants to also be at 25 deals a month, like what did you learn from that experience about why they were so successful?
So let's define wildly successful first, because we were doing 25 deals, which sounds
That's
sexy,
true.
but we're
That's
spending
true.
26. So but there were components of it that were wildly successful. I think the owner was able to bring around a lot of A players and have a lot of A players on the team. So, like the head of marketing and acquisitions, like those were strong people and they were doing really well in the company and like bringing the deals in. And like everyone was, like singing their praises. So, I think that was a key. Also, another key to growing the business was having a business operating system that we all knew about. We used EOS back then, the Entrepreneur Operating System. The book Traction by Gino Wickman outlines that whole system. So we were all, using the same tool to be able to be on the same page. And I think that's another key too, is if you've got that many people on the team, because at our highest point, I think we had about 25 people on the team, and you had to have some sort of system that was bringing it all together. So I feel like that was another big thing, because it also gave a structure for what meetings we should have during the week, how long they should be, what should we be focused on, what should the different areas of the business be focused on. So that's even when you're small, because like when I first started my business that I have now, I ran on like a light version of EOS, and it was just two people. Like when I first started, it was me and another guy, but it still gave me the structure of, I want to have a weekly meeting, even if it's with this one other person. Like I want to make sure that I'm keeping a structure in place. So that's where, even if you're smaller and just starting out, knowing that there's those frameworks and structures out there, and like, what should I get in the habit of? Because when you first start investing and you first start getting successful, one of the first things you want to do is like say, hey, I'm out of here. Like I did a few properties, like let me go on the vacations and stuff. And I'm not against that. Like I want you to enjoy your business. I love profit first and the message. At the same time, I want you to have a structure for the business and run it like a business. A business is a function of the results that they get. And how do a lot of people get great results? By the meetings, the people that are on that team, rowing in that same direction, going and making sure that everyone's on the same page. So I think those are some key aspects of how we were able to grow it. Then if you want to know too, because everyone wants to know, like that's, I want to know how they were able to grow it, what split it apart too. Well, because that company eventually blew apart. Like some of those A players went and
Mm.
started their own business. I moved across the country, like to another, and sold all my personal stuff. And I think a couple things there of why, like that was a great, we were scaling, we were growing, but at the same time, we also, I think the financials on that side, we weren't paying enough attention to what really mattered. Like we needed to go bottom line and not just how many deals we were doing. So that was one thing that really hurt, because it's more stressful. It's more stressful in the entire company if you're busting your butt trying to do 25 deals, but the owner's still like, hey, we got to do more. We got to do more because we're not making money. It's like, how about we get leaner or something? Because
Right.
this, like, we're already to the max here and you don't want to bring on more people. So I think that those were a couple big pieces of why it blew apart, was just that not focusing on the right priorities at the right time as well too, which that's a key concept. And Mike Michalowicz even has a book on that. It's called Fix This Next. So I highly
Mm.
recommend that one, which is a good framework for if you have some holes in your business, what should you shore up first? So that's, I think if I would have had a couple of those mindsets back then, could have looked at it through a different lens than I was looking at it back then. But those were some of the successes that made it a successful company. And some of the things that didn't make it a successful company too. So hopefully that gives the listeners some good information of how they can avoid some of those mistakes, but how they can also implement some of those things if they want to scale and grow the business.
Yeah, no, that was excellent advice, and I appreciate it. That was super great. And this book, "Fix This Next," was one that I haven't heard from Mike Michalowicz. And if anybody is listening that's been under a rock or didn't look at the show title, of course, I'm speaking with the author of the Mike Michalowicz original Profit First book, but this is the Profit First for real estate investors with David Richter. And I'm super, super excited to have you here because I know you're going to give us some great insight into, why this is so important for real estate investors. So I'm curious, how did this opportunity present itself for you to really dive deep, into finances on your own, which then ultimately led to this book?
So I'm definitely, if you're watching this, I've got the glasses, and I know how I look. I look like the accountant person, so I've already got that persona. I look like the book reader. So I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in college. Then I started reading a ton of business and personal finance and all that. So I loved that side. I liked business and I liked the money side. At the end of the tenure that I was there, or the time that I was with that company where we were doing a bunch of deals, the finance seat was one of the last seats. That's where I really learned. I sat with a CPA for like a year, like, tell me, and I'll be forever grateful for him sitting down with me and showing me where do these things go, how to read the different statements, how to really understand the story that the numbers were telling. Then it turned out when I could read everything where it's like, what the heck is going on here? Like, we're bringing in 25, 30 deals and spending 26 to 31, so that's where that was eye-opening to me. Going to masterminds and different events at that time and hearing people behind the scenes that were up on stage saying, hey, we're doing this much, but then they'd be crying at the bar like, but we're losing this much, and the bottom line, I have no idea what it is, or I have no idea what I'm making and spending. So it was like hearing those things kind of started to trigger my brain of like, sounds like people just need help with basic finance stuff in the real estate world. So when I moved, after those 5 years and kind of when things blew apart, and I still love that owner, like everything was amicable there with everyone, like when we started and moved, but I mean, things had to change. So I moved across the country, sold everything I had, and lived in Virginia. Started working with the real estate investor there. First thing we did, I said, show me your numbers. Like, I'm almost like, if I'm going to be a partner investor, like with this company, I want to know your story. So opened up the books, like the QuickBooks, and it was a mess. Like most real estate investors, it was an absolute mess. And then I went through with a team for several months and like cleaned it up. And after that, we met. And I said, like, here's what we're making. Here's what we're spending. Here's what you're keeping. Here's your portfolio of properties and like what you have tied up with all that. So that was really eye-opening to him. But also with that portfolio, he was super under-leveraged too. He only had 30%, loan to value on his properties, meaning he had 70% equity in his portfolio. So I said, do you want to refinance out and like get some of your own money back? He's like, yeah, let's do that. So we refinanced with a small local bank. He got several $100,000 in his pocket. And that's where he told me, like the next week after that it closed, like, this has been life-changing. I know what I make. I know what I spend. I know what I keep. And I was able to find my money again just because I didn't know where it was sitting. And he said this was so eye-opening. And he said this has been life-changing for myself, my children. And to me, that was like the spark. If everything else was kind of like the dominoes that were starting to be stacked up, this was the one that kind of like just pushed it over to say, you need to start a business to just help people know where they stand financially, like just to give them the basics. That's when I got a call from a mentor when I told him that I was going to start this business, like, hey, you should read Profit First. And I think you would like it with the business you're starting of just with the basic finances. So I did. I read that book, Profit First, in one sitting, in one evening, took 10 pages of notes, said, boom, this is a great framework for the cash flow and for financial freedom of like actual money in the entrepreneur's pocket, the real estate investor's pocket. So then I did. That's when I started my company and implemented Profit First right away for my own business. So I was running off of it like from day one. Then from all the people that we were helping too, I started helping in real estate investors and saw like the lights click on. Like this is a great system, but it's also creating good habits inside of the owner, the entrepreneur, like the longer they were doing it. So then I went to Mike about a year later, Mike McCowitz, and said, oh my gosh, like this is working. I love it. Would I be able to write the real estate investing book because I have a heavy real estate background and now I'm seeing the system work? And that's when we did the book deal. And that's kind of what got me into Simple CFO and where I am today. It was just seeing a lot of those dominoes be set up. And then that one push, then when the guy said, like, this has been so eye-opening and life-changing.
Love it. Love it. No, that is amazing. And, I must say, I was one of those same investors that didn't know where the bodies were buried.
Yeah.
And then I signed up for Simple CFO. So I appreciate you and all the value that I'm getting. And we're still in the beginning phases of it. But
Yeah.
if we were to fast forward, what would you say, why someone needs to have a CFO? Because
Right.
I want to say that Simple CFO solutions, like it's not only kind of cleaning up your books and helping you understand where things are, but you also have this advisor on your team now that can work with you. Why have that level of support with Simple CFO? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I felt like there was a missing piece while I was in the real estate world of everyone had a bookkeeper. Like we had a bookkeeper on our team, and when we're doing 25 deals, we had a CPA, but we weren't getting the business management portion or like the what is going to make us more freaking money or put more in the owner's pocket to make him more, not all frantic all the time. So that's where, when I first started, it was like, I want to give the people that wouldn't have an opportunity to work with a high powered CFO the power to be able to work with someone on a smaller scale and for them to lead it. Cause, like, yeah, Brandon's working with us and we're working with a lot of clients, and the CFO is there to manage the bookkeeper, manage the CPA, like making sure those pieces are flowing, and to be able to talk with the owner and say, this is what's going to move the needle, and hold them accountable to like the profit first system, and making sure, are you putting more money in your pocket? Like, are you accomplishing the goals, the financial goals that you set for yourself? Sometimes people don't even set those goals for themselves. They get into business and they're just like, or real estate, how many deals can I do? Or like they go to an event. Oh, that sounds good. I want to do this many deals, but they haven't figured out, why did they start the business? How much do they want to make from the business? One of our first clients, he's still with us today, 3 years later. And he was just living the rat race, like trying to go as fast as possible. And we showed him, like, you only have to do 5 deals a year for what you want to make. And he's like, what? And like for him, he had young kids and he said, okay, like, let's get to that point. And here, fast forward 3 years later, he called me in June, so several months ago, and he said, I have enough money in my accounts to last the rest of this year. So like he filled
Nice.
up all his bank accounts, and that's what we want to give people, is someone on the team to not only teach them and guide them, but like to hold them accountable to, like, if you learn this, you're not just getting a marketing or a financial hack. It's more of a habit and something that's becoming a part of you to create true wealth in your business and as a person and as an entrepreneur. So that's why the CFO is there, yeah, to make sure books get cleaned up, you have that clarity, but then to make sure the owner is being transformed by their business and by the information and the things that we can pass on to them and guide them with.
Love it. No, that's amazing, and a great way to really break that down. Um, from what you've seen in your experience and maybe hearing some of the feedback from your clients, what are some of the things that are happening or the interactions and traits that some of the business owners that are having a lot of success and are raving fans with this service, how are they working with their CFO, on a,
Yeah.
kind of a practical side of things to make sure that they get the most out of the experience?
So it's setting the meetings consistently and showing up. Like, showing up is half the battle. Like, most people don't want to have these types of conversations. The financial
Right.
side, it like makes them feel like, oh man, I have to have a financial convo, which is why I wanted to create this company too, because I wanted you to have a different one than just talking to a bookkeeper, just talking to a CPA. So I think that's one of the things that makes them successful working with us. But then I also believe it's the owner seeing those results of, like I was just talking about, or when it was tax time this year, I probably got the most calls I've gotten, or like messages of like, hey, tax time was just net here. I paid it all off because I had the money sitting in an account. And like, I've never had that before. We literally do. We have clients that have been with us 2-3 years, and now they see like being on this system, like now they're into the rhythm so much of like, we put money into profit, we put money into taxes. Like the people we see like that, it's that they're just executing the actual system, the process of the profit first mindset and the practical application of every time a deal closes, we're moving money into these accounts that are for us. And then we see it. It's like, hey, I had a bigger tax bill than I thought this year, but we had saved enough, like in the tax account. Or I want to give. And like they set up a giving account, and they're incentivizing themselves and like the team to be able to give to these causes that they want to. So it's the people that we see that, number one, engage with the CFO, ask them the questions that they have a financial question, and they can email them. Like, even though we have different tiers and different things for different people and like that monitor the meetings, like they can reach out for questions and all this. And like, sometimes we just have to coach people on like what you can ask and like what you can reach out to, because we want to be that go-between of like the bookkeeper, the CPA, and also the business owner. Like if someone else needs someone on from the team, like if the bookkeeper, CPA, sometimes we have to be that go-between to make sure the owner understands like what's going on here. So it's really taking that relationship and knowing how to utilize it, and to say, hey, I have no idea. This person my CPA just emailed me. What the heck are they talking about? And it's like just making sure that we're there for the client when they need it, and to be able to set up their dashboard. We set up a dashboard with clients and make sure like, hey, once everything's clean, we can put these numbers in and do projections, and like, where are you right now? Where do we want to be in the future as far as like how much profitability? So it's just making sure that the owner is pushing the CFO to be like, hey, let's have these meetings, and I'm really going to be there. And then the CFO coming prepared to be like, here, this is what I see, this is what I suggest, and then you can take it and run with it. So it's those types of conversations, then seeing them follow the system and seeing the money in the accounts. Like that's what really gives people like this is awesome. Like I actually have money when I need it, or for what I want, like the profit or whatever. We had one client, I remember last year, it was one of his second or third times he took a draw from profit, and it was like a very significant 5-figure sum. And he's like, I've never done this before, like had this money in a separate account, taking this much out, and it helped him move to like a different country, and like just all this stuff that he'd always wanted to do with his family. So it was just very rewarding seeing how people are utilizing the system, and then the rewards they get from following the system too.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Those are some great stories that I'm sure you've had some amazing feedback from a lot of these clients, because it's a great system. And if anybody hasn't read the Profit First book for real estate investors and that are actually doing this business, I definitely suggest running out and grabbing a copy. David, just for the folks that maybe are, considering, say, hey, I want to do this as well. I want to set this up in my business. Just to get a sense of like the time frame by which you feel someone that has their books completely in a mess and they don't know what to do to get started. Like what kind of time frame are they looking at, getting things up and running and rolling and really in a good place?
Yeah. So that's what we want to help people with. Usually that needs to be the CFO running interference between bookkeeper and owner of like, hey, we need to get these things. Where do you have them saved? Like that type of stuff. So usually with the CFO, because if they don't, we've seen it be as long as, 6 to 12 months without a CFO. What we usually see is maybe 3 to 6 months if it's a horrible case. Like if you've been in business for years and years, like we might see if you've got years of cleanup, like taking 3 to 6 months. So we can cut that time way down. And if you've been in business for a year or two, that's usually the 1 to 3 month mark. It depends on what you're doing and what the business is. Because I'll tell you too, if you're running like subject to or land contract deals, those are way different than just a simple wholesaling business and wholesaling those types of things. Or if you're running rentals, even like there's different types of like inputs that you have to do for those different types of businesses. So it also depends on the business type that you have too, because some of those are more complicated than others. Because if you're selling on land contract, there's a whole bunch of more info that you need to know, the breakdown of the payment, and where everything's going. But I would say those are the general guidelines for cleanup. But at the same time, too, on the back end, we can be working, even when people are going through that cleanup, our CFO is usually doing two things. Number one, driving that to get done, because usually the owner doesn't have time to do that. They're doing the deals, or they're in the marketing seat or the sales seat. So they're driving it to get done. Number two, the CFO is also building the dashboard behind the scenes, like, okay, what do we have done so far? What can we put in there, guiding and directing, like with that, and making sure that as things get completed, we can start our process of like the more fun stuff. So that's like two big things during that cleanup. But we can see we're usually cutting the time in half by having the CFO involved, versus if you just went to a bookkeeper and said, my books are a mess, I need cleanup. This is why I also believe in the CFO being that person, because it saves you time and money in the long run too, because you've got someone driving it.
Yeah, for sure. I know, even just from a personal experience, being able to translate. I mean, I've
Right?
had questions with the bookkeeper that my CFO was able to translate in the specific financial jargon, if you will, or lingo,
Yeah.
how to communicate exactly what we were trying to get done. And it was super helpful, as well as building out my KPI tracker and my scorecard. So super helpful of a process. For the person that's out there that feels like they're not ready yet, they may not have the ability to invest in a service like
Yeah.
this. What advice would you give that person for at least taking those baby steps to getting their financial house in order for their business, even before they may join with a
Yeah.
service such as Simple CFO?
So one big thing is getting someone who knows real estate investing books. So if you're a real estate investor listening to this, it'd be getting a bookkeeper from that realm, which I know is a little bit more difficult. They're not, just a dime a dozen out there, but getting people like that, or a CPA that handles the real estate side. You don't want to just get a general knowledge person. We've had some people who have like general knowledge bookkeepers that have started with the real estate investor and been with them, but then we come in and it's like, oh shoot, they didn't know where to put this stuff, but just because real estate is a different monster when it comes to the
Yes.
back end. So that's where getting someone who's knowledgeable in that side to be able to put that stuff in will save you heartache and headache down the road, versus you just hiring the cheapest VA off of Upwork, or from a VA service. They need to know how to set up real estate investing books, and just reading Profit First as well too. Like if you're not able to work with us or not able to work with our team, reading the book and just getting the concepts, and start asking yourself some of the questions that are posed in there. Like, what do you need? And I talk about expense analysis and like some of the things that can contribute to your bottom line and right away. So like some of these things, obviously having a CFO there to guide and direct and to be able to hold accountable are huge. But if you're just starting out and you're like, where do I go? What do I do? Get a good real estate investing bookkeeper, read the Profit First book to at least get the concepts and start to build good habits. If you can build good habits from day one, you'll have good habits at day 100 and day 1000 and day 10,000 when you're doing so many more deals. Just think of how much more money you'll have because you started those good habits and started the system earlier. So that's where I tell people, like, the best time to start is right now, wherever you are. If it's day one or day 1,000 or deal 1,000, like make sure that you start this, because your next 1,000 deals could have that much more profit attached to them. So those would be the two big things: get a good real estate investing bookkeeper and read the book.
Love it, love it, love it. And look, before we get to the lightning round, because you've already gave some amazing stories
Yeah.
from some clients, just very practical knowledge for the wholesaler that may just have done their first few deals, or they're looking at doing some deals. What would you suggest for that person to hold on to or file away and store, like documents for a wholesale deal, like when they're
Oh, sure.
just getting going? What would you say they do before they even get that bookkeeper?
Man, if you follow this advice and what Brandon just asked here, and if you follow this, this will save you. You know how I said it could be like basically 1 to 6 months, depending on how big your cleanup mess is. This can cut it down again in half. So like the first step was if you have a CFO and someone driving it that actually knows what's happening, you cut it down in half. If you on your end organize files, that cuts it down another half of whatever time frame is typical. So if it's 3 to 6 months, now you're in that 1 to 3 month mark. If it's 1 to 3 months, it's like half a month to 2 months. It's like if you have everything there. And I would say number one, most important thing, the HUDs from when you close. Having the breakdown of the HUDs of when you purchase the property or when you sell the property. This goes for any type of deal that you're doing. If you're just wholesaling, those are like the main points of it. The other would be if you have any agreements with like your staff of like, what are the splits on commissions that you're paying with people? Like, do you have that written down somewhere? That's good knowledge to know, like, okay, I see this on your, you keep paying this person different amounts, like when a deal closes, we need to know what are those percent splits. So it's like having anything that would affect the inflow and outflow of the money. So also too, if you're double closing and you have two sets of HUDs, or if you ever have to turn on utilities because you're wholetailing and like a wholesale deal actually turned into wholesale and now it's like a month until you're going to sell it, you have to do something with utilities. Like any documentation that you get, you use like a Google Drive or a OneDrive or like something that's an online cloud storage software, and have someone put that in there, even if it's a VA and they're just stuffing it in there by property address and whether it's closed or not, like you can get organized there. That will save you so much headache when you don't want the headaches. Like when you're already going through, I have to clean something up, or, like if you have to provide documentation a year later for something that comes back up or whatever it might be. That's where I promise it seems like a pain in the butt, but you could. That's something I would go to Upwork for and maybe hire a VA and say, hey, can you scrape my email for any attachments and put them into Google Drive, here, and you give them, access until they're done, and then you change your password from there. And it's just like project based, and then you could have a recurring VA, or something, an admin start saving everything in the future. So that would be something that if you do that will cut your time and money invested in whatever it might be, bookkeeping or storage or organization in the future, down by half.
Love it. Those are gems. Last follow-up question on that. I know people track mileage, right? Or they suggest to track mileage. Is that something, is it even required? Because the person that's running out to appointments or closings and this and that, like it's sometimes get difficult. Do you suggest to clients to track their mileage?
So personally, I'm not a CPA or anything. Like this is the crazy thing about my background too. I'm not the tax person or CPA. Like I'm the real estate investor, and all the people on the team, like the person like Brandon's working with, like they have all the credentials behind their name. But as far as what I suggest, like for me, I know like in my life, I have one car that's more dedicated to business. So I know that those miles are like business miles versus like what I'm putting on my other car, like the personal car with what I am with the family. But there are so many apps today that will help you track that you don't even have to log into them, and they'll, Drive IQ was one that was really big. There's the QuickBooks app actually will now, I believe, track mileage as well. Like there's apps that you could just be on the go, and then at a later date, like when you're just sitting somewhere, like it'll pop up to say, were these mile business or personal? And then you could just swipe, business or personal. So it makes it super easy. So if you're going to go that route and try and get as many, because I always encourage people, if you want more deductions, like this is a good way to do it. This is one of those ways you can. But they've got apps to make it a whole lot easier for the entrepreneur who's on the go at these appointments, because the phone knows when you're moving and stuff, like just like a Google map or whatever, like it knows when the car's moving. Same thing with these apps. So that way it tracks how many miles you went, and then you just have to say, was this business or personal? So you can make it super easy on yourself.
Love it, man. Well, that's why I had you here, because I knew you were going to answer some amazing questions that folks really need to hear, that only you are specifically set to be able to help with. And I really, really appreciate it. But I can't let you get out of here without putting you through the lightning round. Are you ready for it?
Let's do it.
All right.
Oh, there's the lightning. There's actual lightning here. That's awesome.
Look, the lightning round is a series of quick rapid fire questions. You don't know the question, I don't know the answer. So just say the first thing that comes to your mind. What's one book, and I know this is a lay down, right? What's one book that's been instrumental to your growth as a real estate investor?
So besides Profit First and Profit First for Real Estate Investing and Rich Dad Poor Dad, all the ones like that, anyone for a great business owner, I would say The Ultimate Blueprint for an Insanely Successful Business by Keith Cunningham.
Yes, yes. And I will second that. I think that's required reading for the sign up. And I do have a copy laying around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Really good book, guys. Next, if you could have drinks or coffee with any one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, this is kind of a lay down for me because one of my heroes is Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he was one of the most kind people on planet Earth. He was very emotionally intelligent, not only helped children, but, just helped a lot of people. And, a lot of people I think grew up on him as well, too, and learned a lot of good things. I'd want to have a conversation with him and just, like how did he learn all of this? And, it's someone who we have a Wednesday CFO meeting with all of our CFOs. And I always do a Mr. Rogers quote at the beginning because my wife got me a Mr. Rogers calendar. So it's like he's one of
That's
the role
awesome.
models and like one of the heroes that I look up to because there was a lot of good lessons from his life that I want to emulate as well.
Oh, that's great. Look, what's one mistake in a business in general or a specific deal that given the chance to do over that you would take that opportunity?
Oh, man. Specific business mistake or deal and take it back and do it over again. I feel like there's a lot that I could choose from, but at the beginning and when I was in the real estate investing world, day in, day out, one of the things that this isn't a specific mistake. Maybe I'll give you a specific one after I talk about this, but I was just so worried all the time what people thought, like everything to me was always a fire. And it's funny that you even mentioned this before we started recording. You said, I'm going to put everything on do not disturb. And, otherwise my phone will be dinging during this. And I've learned that I need to separate myself from the distractions. And I feel like that's something that every entrepreneur goes through is those shiny objects, but it's almost like we're training our brain to function that way too. We have those things dinging at us all the time and it's what Pavlov's bell or whatever, like that concept of it dings, there's an automatic response. And I feel like back then it put something in me where I even had like bouts of anxiety attacks and stuff because I always felt like I always had to be on all the time, right away, answer this email. Like I used email like I am, almost. It was like, it was crazy. And to me, it was burning me out. And it wasn't until I became a business owner, got good mentors around me on a daily, weekly basis, where I started to say, okay, I can get back to them and it will be good for them and I'll be okay with them. But like, I don't have to respond to things as they come across my plate. And I feel like if I would have had that knowledge back then, I could have saved myself a lot of hurt and heartache. And I also could have stopped, almost programming years worth of that into my body. So that's not a specific mistake, but I feel like that's more of something that became who I was. And I was a people pleaser, growing up too. Like that was definitely how I was bent. So I always wanted to please people versus saying what was on my mind or like, just giving myself some of that space. So it was like those things that just added up until it was just too much. So that's one that I would say. And then as far as a deal goes, like there were some deals back in the day where we took down and it was just one thing after the other where you think this is going to be the best deal ever. And then you hold on to it for 3 years and then you will end up losing your shirt on it. We had some of those deals back in the day as well too. Then with this business, when I first started, when people started coming to me out of the woodwork and I couldn't handle enough of like I couldn't handle all the business that we were getting, like when this was, years ago when I first started, it was like, okay, who can help me? And just trying to get any help that I could instead of having a good process for like screening people out and, all of that, which is a 180-degree difference than it is today. But it was just like, those are some of the things that if I could go back, I would have started with better processes in some places, or I would have started with putting my phone on do not disturb and like starting off things a lot sooner than I would have, than I did back then.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Good stuff. What is the best advice that you would give to someone looking to do their very first wholesale deal?
Looking to do their first wholesale deal, make offers. I know
Mm,
that's
there
this
you go.
podcast, but it's like that's what gives you the chances. When we were back in that real estate company, we were making 3,000 offers a week. Now, the unfair
Wow.
advantage was back then there was a ton of deals on the HUD home store, and there were deals everywhere because this was like 2012 through 2016,
Oh
and
yeah.
like we were making offers like left and right. But we only had to be with that many offers, we only had to be successful like 0.05% of the time, and we got 30 deals a month. So that's where make offers, make as many as you possibly can, look dumb, like learn from your mistakes and keep going on, because that's what will separate you from the people who say I want to get into real estate, are the ones that go out there, make a ton of offers, make a bunch of mistakes, make themselves look like a fool sometimes, but then you learn from people, like I said, like from Brandon or others that will help you know, okay, why was this a bad offer? Like, what in the world happened here? So I make those offers, get them out there, and then learn if something was way off, or if you've made a mistake.
Love it. I'm gonna drop a bomb for that one because you definitely hit the show title on the head with making more offers. Let's send more offers as well, guys. What is the financial goal that, and I know this is kind of different.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask, what was the financial goal that you have set for your business for this calendar year?
sure.
Um, Not really real estate related, but
I will say my 10-year goal when I first started was to give away $1 million,
there you
like
go.
from our business, or like from things that I've started that branch off from this, like if we with a nonprofit or whatever. So we have a giving bucket. So that's one of the things that we track and that we do. So every dollar that comes in, a portion of that goes into that giving bucket, and we're supporting different things across the world. Some missions teams, like we supported at one time, like a girl from an underprivileged family to go to college. Like that's what I want to do. So
Awesome.
honestly, like our goals are kind of
That is your
tied to
goal.
that as well too. So like this year
Yeah.
we wanted to do a certain dollar amount, like around 2 million, and then next year 5, and then 10. It's like, well, if we get to those goals, I know I'm going to get to the big one of being able to give the certain dollar amount away as we grow.
Love it. Love it. All right. So this is a vanity question, but if you woke up tomorrow with $500, $500 million deposited into your account overnight, what's the first thing that you would go out and purchase with that newfound money?
Oh, well, I would tithe first because that's what I
Right.
believe in. So I would make sure that I give what I need to give, because even if that happened, that's still me being a steward of the money. So I want to make sure that I'm doing that first. Then from there, oh man, there's so many people that have poured into my life. I would make a list of all the people that have poured into me and see what are the needs that they have right away, and like start just going down that list. Like maybe retire a few people in my family, like making sure that people don't have to continue struggling. Of course, real estate would be up there too, like
Right.
investing in
Right.
real estate and like
Right.
long-term assets and wealth, and like transferring the dollars to something tangible that you can have for a long time. Yeah, I could keep going on and on. I know you asked for
Now
like one
look,
thing, but
hey,
like that's
you
how my
had
brain
me.
works.
Yeah, you had me at make the list of folks that have given to you and give it back. That is an amazing. That's one of the best answers I've heard to this question in 100+ episodes. Lastly, look, for that person that's out there that's struggling right now, that can't seem to get it going. Maybe they've done a deal and just are, starting and stopping, or just haven't done a deal at all. Like, what advice would you give that person to get going and get some momentum?
Oh man. Listen to this podcast. Listen to things that will motivate you and that will get you to that first step. For me, it was Rich Dad Poor Dad. It might not be that for you. It might be listening to this and then going to a real estate brokerage class and like becoming an agent. Or it might be listening to this and, going out there and getting more books on real estate investing and then making those offers. Like that might be the catalyst for the next thing. So I would just say if you're struggling right now, it can get better. We've all been there. We've all been at that struggle point in some point of our life. It might not be financially, it might be with relationships, it might be with different things, but wherever you are, that's where what is the next step that I can take? What's the next best? It's, oh man, here we go. I've got a 5-year-old daughter, like Frozen 2, the next right thing. Like, what is the next right thing for you to prioritize and make sure that you're on that path of, even if I'm not where I want to be right now, I'm on the path that will get me to that thing or out of the struggle that I'm in currently.
Love it. Love it. Well, David, this has been great and an amazing experience. I'm sure our listeners are going to take a lot from this, especially how you broke down how folks can save, like cut the time in half to get their financial house in order, with the documents to hold on to, how to track things, and then what a CFO can do for you. Now at this time, I want to ask you just, how can Simple CFO Solutions help the listener right now, and then where can they go to find out more about how they can join and get
We
the
do
service?
3 main things. So if you're in these buckets, here's what we do. We manage bookkeeping. So if you've got a bookkeeping nightmare, headache, that's what the CFO drives. Profit first implementation. If you want to put more money in your pocket and build a good habit and create a system around it, that's what profit first is all about, and putting more cash where it should be in your pocket. And then the third thing is clarity. Like, we set up these dashboards, we set up these KPIs, we make sure that we're holding you accountable. It's not just we're teaching you, we're giving you an accountability tool of the money comes in, here's what I do with it. And like, we want to see that happening. So those are the 3 things. If you want us to manage the bookkeeping, if you want us to, or if you need bookkeeping, like, we've got different services like that as well too. If you want us to do the bookkeeping, manage it, if you want us to do profit first, or if you want us to make sure you have that clarity, intense clarity in your business to make better decisions and make more money, that's what we do. And we do that by putting a CFO on your team on a part-time basis, so that way you're not breaking the bank to be able to do that. Then where you can find us is simplecfo.com/SMO, like the name of this podcast. So make sure you go there, simplecfo.com/SMO, and that is where you can find us and what we do and see if we're a good fit for you. Even if you have a call with us, I promise, if we're not the right fit, we're going to ping you to someone in our network, because we just want to provide value to you on the other side.
Love it, love it, love it. And if they want to follow you personally, is there anything that you're doing, with social media, or website, anything else?
So I have an Instagram. It's like Richter Scale 91. I've got a Facebook. Just look up David Richter. I've got, like the cash flow shirt on with, like the suit coat. So make sure you look me up there so you can see the different places. I'm on LinkedIn as well too, but those are the 2 main places that I hang out, is Facebook and Instagram right now.
Hey, well, I appreciate it, David. And of course, as we always do, I want to remind folks to head over to sendmoreoffers.com, because we're compiling a bunch of information, all the gems that we take away from these conversations, as well as scripts and documentations. There's nothing for sale there, just a ton of resources that you can use to implement in your business. To do more deals today, if you head over to sendmoreoffers.com, I would love to connect with you there. David, until the next time, man, I really, really appreciate it. Can't wait to catch up in person, hopefully here in one of these next masterminds. And I really, really appreciate all the advice and valuable information that you gave to the folks.
Thanks for having me on. I love spreading this message, so just appreciate you taking the time to have me on here today.
Yes, yes, love it. Until next time, folks, send more offers, do more deals. Peace.
That's all for this episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show with Brandon Barnes. But we know you're craving more knowledge to get yourself ready for that next deal. To schedule a call with Brandon to learn more about how to do deals consistently without seller appointments in a repeatable way, be sure to visit us at sendmoreoffers.com. And be sure to tune in for the next episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show.